Hello and welcome to Pandora Astrology's monthly horoscope for May of 2023. We are the astrologers of Pandora Astrology. I'm Jamie Kell Miller. I'm in Berkeley, California.
And I'm Julia Mijas, and I'm in San Francisco, California. Let's take a look at what's happening in May.
Well, Libra, what's going on for you in May? I want to start with Pluto. Nobody's favorite planet, but something that we have to deal with. Pluto is entering a new sign this year, only for a couple of months, but this is going to be interesting because it's going to give us some clues about the decade to come. Pluto has been traveling along through, here's the little guy right here, and he is small, a dwarf planet now. His status has been somewhat diminished, but he's still just as powerful as he ever was and has been traveling along through Capricorn in your fourth house for more than the last decade, bringing transformation and metamorphosis to Capricorn things, including hierarchies, governments, authority figures, corporations. There have been plenty of falls from grace, people crashing and burning, who, had established some form of authority, and then it gets taken away. So it's been pretty messy, as Pluto tends to be. You may have noticed this in your fourth house of home and family, domestic life, heritage, and roots, that some pretty deep transformations have gone on in the last decade. But now Pluto is just getting ready to dip his little head into the realm of your fifth house and the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is super different from Capricorn. It is an air sign, so it brings us into the realm of the cerebral, the intellectual. So we can expect there will be lots of transformations in the upcoming decade in the areas of science, technology, the internet, electronics, and everything electrified, networks, and everything networked. So it's a rather rough beginning, perhaps, for the age of Aquarius, you might say. And as Pluto peeks into your fifth house, he begins to bring transformation to you through your creativity and your hobbies and the things that you do for fun and your relationships with your children. So expect your children to poke some holes in your ego bubble, you might say, over the next decade. And, out of the mouths of babes, sometimes pearls of wisdom may fall. I'm mixing my metaphors there, but I think you understand that sometimes our children see in us what we don't see in ourselves. And I think a lot of parents' response to that kind of experience from their children is to come down pretty hard on their children, because nobody likes being poked in the the hidden places of themselves. And so when your kids do that, it's really, really dismaying, but it also can be a powerful avenue for transformation if you handle it in a loving way and in a humble way. So it's just peeking up over the horizon, and you can maybe expect more of that to come in the next decade. And we'll be talking about it also as Pluto moves into your fifth house for real, which isn't really going to happen until 2024. So there you go. Something to look forward to, perhaps. So on May 1st, already we have Juno changing signs. She starts the very beginning of the month in late Taurus, and then by the end of day, May 1st, she has moved into Gemini. So she's entering into your ninth house, and that's where she's going to be for most of the month. Juno is about relationship, partnership that is committed in nature, perhaps even contractual in nature. So marriages, long-term committed relationships, and business partnerships, as well as businesses that are consultancies in their nature, involving, working with another person one-on-one. So when Juno moves into the ninth house, this is a house of growth and expansion, travel, freedom, roaming, rambling, and the growth can also be internal growth. It can be psychological expansion, and it can be like an expansion in your philosophical system of beliefs. So when Juno comes into this house, you might find yourself wanting to travel with your partner, to grow with your partner, to have adventures and explorations with your partner. And this would be a really good time for planning those kinds of trips. Like if your partner is from a different cultural background than you, then it might be time to visit their family, for example, and where they came from. And that could really help the relationship to grow and expand too. And this is really a great transit for traveling with your partner, even if you do come from a very similar background, and just, getting out into the world and having some fun and feeling some freedom and some spaciousness. Now I want to talk about Ceres. She's been retrograde since February, early February. She went retrograde in your first house. You may have felt that very personally. And I think that in the horoscopes in the last couple of months, I have probably advised you to get rid of those shoes that pinch your toes so hard that it hurts to wear them, even though they make your calves look amazing. And to instead think about how you can clothe and care for your body in a way that reflects the reality of how your body is now, even if you may not like it, and reflects an acceptance of your body, even though it might not match a standard of beauty that you see out there on billboards. Accepting your body and learning to take care of it in the phase of life that it's in right now is a really great way to spend Ceres retrograde. And she has retrograded into your 12th house, but this month she is going direct, which is signaling the beginning of the finish of her retrograde passage, and thus resolution is coming soon. Where is the date? The 6th? Yes. So you'll see this little red RX symbol, which means that Ceres is retrograde, disappears, and that means that Ceres is now direct as of the 7th. So Ceres is going to proceed in direct motion, moving forward instead of backwards, and she's leaving the retrospective period in which you've been asked to, look at how you do care for your body and ask yourself, what is the good stewardship that I need to do for health and longevity? And also your finances. You've probably had to take a pretty hard look at how you manage your money, your income, how you earn, spend, save, and record that income. And so Ceres has probably taken you into some realms in which you'd been unconscious about your money in the past, and possibly into some stuff that's way down below the surface about what you believe your own value to be in the world, maybe so deep it's practically on a spiritual level. So one of the things that may have resulted from this passage is that you may have felt moved to work charitable contributions into your regular budget. And that would be a really great result of this Ceres transit too, and might even benefit you in a tax way. So Ceres will be moving direct for the rest of the month, and we'll move on back into your first house and continue moving forward. And as this happens, you're going to find that the financial tangles that had emerged during this Ceres transit, this retrograde, are going to start to get untangled, and that the way forward is going to become clear. Hey, Julia, what's up with Mercury, Venus, and Mars, especially Venus, for the Libras of the world?
Oh, yeah, you got to hear about Venus, Libra, because she is your ruling planet, and she spends the first week at the beginning of the month in your ninth house. So what is the ninth house? It rules higher education, it rules travel, it rules new experiences and adventure. And wherever we have our friend Venus is where we find more harmony in life, where aspects of our relationship can take place because she is the relationship planet, and where we can also find pleasure. So with Venus in the ninth house for the first week of the month, if you're in a relationship, you're going to want to be doing something expansive with your partner, maybe attending a lecture together, maybe planning a trip together. But you guys just want to have some new experiences, experience the world together. And if you're single, this can be a time where maybe you get a crush on a classmate or somebody that you meet in a lecture, or if you are happening to be traveling now, somebody you meet through a trip. But by May 7th, Venus enters your 10th house. This is a very public house. It rules your career. And with Venus in this house for the rest of the month, you're going to be finding some harmony, some pleasure. You're going to basically be getting along with the people you work with, clients, customers, bosses, for example. If you are in a relationship, this could be a time of making it more public in some way. Maybe telling people at work about your boyfriend or girlfriend, or maybe inviting them over to meet your parents for the first time, or updating your social media to say you're in a relationship. But there's something about maybe the relationship becoming more public in some way. And this is a lovely transit just for your public reputation in general. If you do anything in the public eye or on social media, or if you present in front of an audience, this is going to go a little extra nice for you because you'll be coming off as charming and pleasing and even a little extra beautiful to the public too. And then Mercury, we got to say a few things about the squirrely Mercury because he starts the month retrograde in your 8th house of finance. So Mercury retrograde in the 8th can be kind of a challenging time with money. There might be miscommunications with money, especially with people close to you, maybe miscommunications with your bank or with your accountant, especially since we are still coming out of tax season a little bit. You might have to go back over some things. And Mercury retrograde in the 8th house, if you do any investigating or researching in your life, like for a paper at school or even researching in your personal life, you might have to go back over your conclusions. But by May 1st, actually, Mercury will exactly conjoin the sun while retrograde. We call that Lesser Epiphany Day. And that can be a day of insight and revelation, around that day. So you might get a little bit more clarity into your finances very early in the month, or clarity into any miscommunications you've been having about them. Then on May 14th, Mercury finally goes direct, which is great, great news. But I would give it about a week after that because that's how long it takes for Mercury to pick up speed in the sky. And then we can say that the retrograde cycle is officially over. And then finally, I got to mention Mars too. Mars is the planet of action, planet of drive. Wherever we have him, there's a lot of activity that month. But he can also be the planet of conflict and frustration too. And he starts the month in your 10th house. So he's there for the first 20 days. Venus will join him a little bit later, which will definitely help with all things career oriented. But Mars in the 10th house, on its higher side can mean you're very driven at your job. You're very driven to get a lot of work done. And it can also be a time of running into flare-ups and frustrations with authority figures too. So until Venus sort of joins him, later on in the month after the first week, you might run into some flare-ups with your boss, with your parents, basically with anyone who tells you what to do. Then on May 20th, Mars enters your 11th house of friends, of groups, of long-term goals. The traditional astrologers said it's the house of hopes, wishes, and dreams. So by the last third of the month, your focus is going to be on your long-term goals. Maybe that's buying a house one day. Maybe that's opening a business one day or writing a book, those goals that take some time to realize, to achieve. And you'll be very driven to kind of push yourself a little bit further to get more ahead in your goals, which is a totally, totally great thing and a very constructive use of this transit. Now, some of the challenges of this transit might be that you run into frustrations with the friends in your life. Mars is also a very competitive planet. So maybe your friends are being a little competitive with you. Maybe you're being a little domineering with them. But there might be some discord in the friendship cycle, in the friendship circles, or if it isn't in your friends, it could be in any social groups you're a part of. So that could include recovery programs, teams, unions, professional associations, conferences. If you find yourself in a group pretty much later on in this month, there might be some tense energies there. But the best way to use this transit is to do some teamwork. That's Mars in the 11th highest side. Get the team together and work really hard on some collective project, and you can get a lot of stuff done that way, which is definitely for the best.
So true. Hi, Jamie here. I just wanted to say thank you for watching this video. And if you're enjoying it, please consider becoming a patron on Patreon. Your support helps keep this content free, and you can also get access to workshops where I will cast your chart live in the workshop. The link can be found in the description below. Thanks again, and let's get back to the video. Well, let's take a look at the moons. First of all, on May 5th, we have a full moon in Scorpio, but not just any full moon in Scorpio. This one is an eclipse. So there are a couple of reasons why this moon could be pretty intense. This is the second eclipse in this eclipse season. The previous one happened 2 weeks before this one, and that's completely normal. Eclipses come in little groups of 2 or 3 or 1, and they happen at 6-month intervals. And then those eclipses in the groups happen at 2-week intervals. So a couple of eclipses, 6 months go by, a couple more eclipses. That's how it works. And the ones that show up in the news are usually the ones that are the most dramatic, the most visible, perhaps, from where you are. So this particular one, being an eclipse and being a lunar eclipse, is going to be pretty emotional. There's an astrologer here in the Bay Area called Georgia Stathis who calls this an emotional roto-rooter, which I think is very descriptive, even though probably a lot of people don't know what roto-rooter is anymore. It just basically is a big stirring of the pot. And this one is landing in your second house. The second house being the house of your money, your resources, your worth, your value, the things that belong to you that you own. I think of this house as very much being ruled by Ceres, and so governed by Ceres themes of food, body, and money, the things that connect us to the physical world. So very much a grounded and solid house. And when this eclipse happens here, you're going to find that a lot of emotions come up about your own possessions and your own security, your physical, financial security. And you might find yourself facing off against a partner who is stubbornly resisting what what your feelings are bringing up. And so there could be a bit of a loggerheads going on here. And that's because a full moon is always inherently relational. The moon and the sun oppose each other in a full moon. And so there's that polarity and that polarizing dynamic. This particular full moon involves some companionship for the sun over here in your 8th house. Vesta and Uranus are hanging out with the sun, the 8th house being the house of the monies and the resources that you share with another or pool with a group. And you might find some resistance to, or even some stabilizing. And so if you feel like, if you're having some intense feelings come up of fear or paranoia, or like, wondering, are you going to be okay financially? There may be somebody in your life who can help you to reconnect to ground and to find your way to a peacefulness, a tranquility, a stability, whether that person is your spouse who can be reassuring, or whether it's like your accountant who can, give you some solid advice and clues about how to move forward financially. Fortunately, moons are short-lived, and this will be over in just a few days. And then we have the second moon of this month, which is coming up on the 19th. And it's a new moon in Taurus, which lands again in that 8th house of yours. And this one has so much harmony. It's just wonderful. This sun and moon combination sextiles Mars, it trines Ceres, it trines Pluto, it sextiles Neptune. And this one is really lovely. There's just no stress to be seen. So this kind of suggests to me that if you listen to the advice of that person who, is trying to talk you down from a tree when you're so upset about your finances, that by the time we get to the second moon this month, things may resolve, and you might be feeling more grounded, and also maybe feeling more like that person is trustworthy. Now, if they're not trustworthy, and the interaction that you have with them around the eclipse is about them trying to, bilk you or take advantage of you, then this moon might signify you coming to a place of finding a stability, maybe in a different, with a different consultant, or just feeling like you trust your instincts a lot better, and getting to a place of resolution with that. Now we have the seasonal change, which comes on May 21st. And much of the month is taken up with a lot of activity in your 8th house, really bringing up those themes about monies that you share with other people and the intimate spaces of your life and how things are going there and how hard you may try to stabilize things in those areas and how that can be difficult to do at times. But this seasonal change means that the 8th house will be emptying out, and here you'll see it happen. The moon leaves, and then the sun leaves, and suddenly that 8th house is just not so full and busy as it was, and some of the energy has moved on into your 9th house. And the 9th house has such a different vibe from the 8th house. In the 8th house, things are kind of like mysterious and hidden. You may feel like you need to do some detective work. You might have to uncover something that you didn't know before. And in the 9th house, it's like so much more like it's like coming out of the tunnel into the light. And so the 9th house is a house of growth and expansion, adventure and exploration. It's a house of travel and foreign cultures. It's a house of your philosophy and the ways that you find meaning in life, and the ways that you bounce back and find resilience through finding meaning in life. Wherever the sun goes, we want to bring our high quality attention, because attention is the human psychological corollary to sunlight. Wherever you shine the sunlight of your attention, things can thrive and flourish. Bringing that attention into the 9th house means planning a trip, maybe going on a trip, doing some exploring, taking a workshop, taking a university extension course, continuing your education, in some way growing, expanding, and having adventures. And that is great stuff to put your attention on while the sun is in your 9th house, where it proceeds to be for about 30 days starting on May 21st. So it is adventure time for sure.
Well, that's all for today. If you love Pandora Astrology's free and informative horoscopes, please do hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and share our horoscopes with your friends.
We make these horoscopes for you for free, and if you appreciate it, supporting us on Patreon is the best way to show it. Share our horoscopes with your friends too. Enjoy your May, and until next time, we'll see you around the cosmos.
Bye-bye.